Let's now review a slightly more confusing relationship, and that's the belongs to many. So here we have our article class once again, and think it's very common to associate tags with an article. So if I write an article about Laravel, for example, you might give it a tag of work. I might give it a tag of PHP. I might give it a tag of Laravel. So it sounds like an article has many tags, at least at first glance. Okay. But let's now do the inverse. If I had a tag, does a tag belong to an article? Well, that doesn't seem quite right. Let's dig down a little further. So if we had an article called Learn Laravel, we might add a tag of PHP, Laravel, work, education, things like that. Okay, but does that mean that the Laravel tag belongs to the Learn Laravel article? No, that's not right. This Laravel tag could belong to many articles. So now we have a slightly different relationship type here. An article can have many tags, but a single tag can have many articles as well. So this is what we call a many-to-many relationship. An article can have many tags, and a tag can have many articles. Here's how we represent that. If I want to fetch the tags for an article, I'm going to return not a has many, but instead a belongs to many. And we'll need to create a tag model for this. So let's now create that. We'll make a model for a tag and also a migration. All right, let's switch over to that migration, create tags table. And for now, a tag will simply have a string column for the name of the tag. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. Where do we create the association between the article and the tag? Because think, we can't do something like this. So I can't say I want an unsigned big integer for the article ID, because that would create a belongs to relationship. We'd be right back in that boat where the Laravel tag belongs to the article with an ID of 4, and that's not what we want. So again, to make this work, we need 3 different tables. The 2 tables on each side of the equation, so in this case, article and tag, and then you need like an intermediate table. We might call this a pivot table. You might call this a linking table. There's lots of terms for it. But it's in that linking table where we create the association. So let's do that. Now, if you want, you could add another section here to build up your pivot table, or sometimes you'll want those to be separate steps. It's entirely up to you. Since we're here, why don't we just keep it in line? Now, the convention for your pivot table is to take the 2 tables on each side of the equation. So we have articles and tags. And you want to make them singular, separate them by an underscore, and then put them in alphabetical order. So A comes before T, so we have article tag. That is the convention, but you can call this anything you want. Okay, so now think about it. We need to have a connection to the article in question. So this will be an article ID, and then we need another one for the tag ID. And there we go. Now, something else you might want to do is set up a unique key. So you could say the combination of the article and the tag ID must be unique. And that way you don't end up in a situation where you have duplicates. And then finally, you could set up your foreign keys if you like. So you could say the article ID references the ID column on the articles table. And if we delete the article, let's cascade and delete this record as well. And then we'll do the exact same thing for the tag. So tag ID references the ID column on the tags table. All right, and we end up with something like that. So I'll go ahead and migrate our database. All right, and now if I switch back to Table Plus and we give it a refresh, we now have our tags table, our articles table, and then our linking table, or I often call it the pivot table. So think about it. We have an article here. Again, let's say that's Learn Laravel. And then we have some tags here. So for example, one tag is Laravel. Another one is PHP. And then another one is education. And then finally, maybe personal. All right, so we have 4 tags here. If I want to say that the Learn Laravel article should have Laravel, PHP, and education tags, that's IDs 1, 2, and 3, we can now set that up here, like so. The article with an ID of 1 has a tag with an ID of 1. Done. Next, the article with an ID of 1 has a tag with an ID of 2. Next, the article with an ID of 1 has a tag of an ID of 3. And if I save it, there we go. So again, this is how we allow for a many-to-many relationship. So now at this point, if I go back to our article, if I want to fetch all tags for the article, we use the belongs to many relationship call. All right, so let's try it. I will boot up PHP Artisan Tinker. I will find that article. There it is. And now let's grab the tags for that article. All right, so now you'll see we have 3 tags: Laravel, PHP, and education. And what we could do is say, pluck the name of the tag. And now we get a more simple collection. So let's finish up by doing the inverse. If we have a tag instead, and I want to fetch all articles that are associated with this tag, well, once again, a tag belongs to and can have many articles. And that's it. So close it out, run it again. We will find any tag. Let's see what we have here. All right, Laravel, give me all articles associated with that tag. And there we go. It works perfectly.